welcome back to Dream Girl. I'm Sheen, your host, and today we're joined by the wonderful Yett. So Yett is a CEO of a 7-figure business, the Laptop Lifestyle Master, and she's on a mission to liberate everyone else from the rat race. Hello, Yett, and welcome.
Hey, thank you so much for having me.
No, of course. So you're on a visit in Dubai right now?
Yes, just for a week.
How are you finding it?
I really like it so far. I didn't expect actually that I would like it this much, but now I could see myself living here.
You know, this is everyone's experience, by the way. The number of people you'll meet who will tell you, I came for a weekend and now it's been 5 years.
Yeah.
So it's very normal. But where are you visiting us from?
So I live in Bali right now, and now I'm on the way to London to speak at a conference. So I was like, yeah, why not go to Dubai, and explore it as an in-between stop. So, yeah.
You know, it's not very often that you meet people who live in Bali.
Oh, really?
What is that like?
For me, it's amazing, Yeah? I've been there now for, I would say 4 years.
Okay.
So quite some time. And I just love the island life and, driving on my scooter, going to the beach, it's so relaxed and the people are so amazing as well. So I really love it. I do know some people who actually go in the hot months in Dubai. They go to Bali. So they live in between Bali and Dubai. And I feel like that could be the best of both worlds,
Of course. Yeah. But what brought you to Bali 4 years ago?
So actually I studied in Bali in 2017 for 3 months. And that's where I learned wow, this is such an amazing island. I love it so much. And then I knew that basically after my corporate job, I just wanted to move to a warmer place because Netherlands, has a lot of rain and it's okay. It's getting better, the weather. But at that time, it was still very cold. So I was like, okay, I want to move to a tropical place. And I just remembered having such a good time in Bali that, I decided to move there.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Okay, let's take a few steps back. Tell us about the professional journey so far. I know you went corporate and now you're not. So what was that like? Yeah,
so I think it starts maybe even before that. When I was a kid, I had the dream of either becoming a spy or becoming a business owner like my dad. So, but when I graduated high school, there were no positions in the police academy in Netherlands. So nobody could apply. And then I was like, okay, I don't know what to do. And then I actually kind of randomly chose the study that I did, hospitality management, because I heard you can go abroad in your third year. And I was like, okay, I don't want to wait for the police academy to open. I will just do this first, and then I will maybe apply to police academy again. And that's how I got to live in Bali and Bangkok in my third year. And from there, I learned actually, wow, people are actually living here and traveling the world, and working from their laptop. And this was 2017, so I wouldn't say it was new, but it was kind of new, It wasn't as popular as it is now. And from that point, I tried to figure out what can I do online? How can I make it work, But because I was already in my third year, I did want to finish my study because, I was like, 1 more year. So in my 4th year, I had to do a corporate internship in London for Hilton Hotels. And that's when I, experienced corporate life for a year there. So while doing that, I already started my online journey. So I tried affiliate marketing, drop shipping, had a web shop, I did travel blogging, I even tried crypto, MLM, everything.
Wow.
I tried so many things to figure it out next to my corporate job at that time. By the end of it, I kind of got into influencing. So when I was in Bali and Bangkok, the first time I just started to post pictures and I started to see that I got likes and followers. And then I was like, what is this, And it wasn't such a thing yet, travel blogger. So from that point, I started figuring out how I could become a travel blogger. So that was what I was doing next to my corporate job. And then at the end of that year, they offered me a promotion for, I think it was marketing and communication manager, something like this. So it was a pretty good offer, actually. But I decided to decline it. And I just had this gut feeling of you just have to try it. You just have to try and 100% go into working online and figure it out. And that's for me when I moved back to Asia with, at that time, $600 to my name. And how I got that money was actually by selling all my clothes and all my furniture to get a ticket and, to make that first move back to a warmer country, so to Asia. And I remember sitting in the plane and looking at the screen where you see, Amsterdam to Bali.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking like, what am I doing? Like I had no plan. And I just told my parents it was going to be fine, that I found a job, but I didn't. Like I had no plan at this point, to make it happen. And then, I started to really get into travel blogging and being an influencer. And actually, made really good money from that.
Okay, wait, before we get into the successful part, I want to deep dive into you being on the plane, knowing that you have $600 and you're going to this country where you have no plans whatsoever. What gave you the courage to do that?
I think the pain of living in London and experiencing corporate life, and people might say, oh, it was just 1 year. Well, I mean, I think 1 year is enough to realize that it's
when
not
you
for
know,
you.
you know.
So the thing was as well, London also was very dark, rainy, and then the office that I was working in was in the basement, in a parking garage. No windows, no natural light. It was like 24 people in a room not much bigger than this, And I think in Netherlands, we even have laws that that's not allowed, to be honest. But in the UK, it was this corporate life. So there were some days, especially in winter, where I would walk to work in the dark. I would sit in this office in the dark and I would walk out when it got dark.
You don't see the sun at all.
It was like...
Gosh.
And also looking at... And I have so much respect for the people I worked with, of course. I had a really fun time as well, because corporate life in London, the pub life, you go for drinks. It's also fun, of course. But I was looking at my managers and the people above me and seeing their living situation, and that they worked for, 40 years of their life in this position and are now stressed, overworking, burned out, still only living in an apartment in London, And I was like, if I'm going to keep going, this is what the dream is going to look like. And because I didn't really taste yet the freedom, but because I lived abroad in these places and saw influencers and travel bloggers, I was like, I know it's possible to live differently, And for me, I don't think we as humans are meant to live a robot life, So go to work and to hate our job and to literally, look forward to the weekend, to hate Mondays. I was like, for me, it doesn't matter who created us, whether you believe in the universe or God or multiple gods. I don't think we were created to have that experience, And I was like, I'm just not going to settle for it. And I don't know if this other thing is going to work out. But I do know that I can always go back to that because I work hard. That's why I got a promotion in that job. And actually it was an internship, and I started as administrator, like just doing some administration. And I kind of got promoted like 4 times without getting paid more in that year.
No way.
Well, I was an intern, right?
Yeah.
So I started doing admin. But by the end of the year, I was actually helping LXR, one of the biggest hotels in London, for Hilton. I was helping them recruit all the staff. I was an intern. I didn't even study recruitment or HR. But because I worked so hard, I just kept getting more. So I knew, like, Jet, you already did this in 1 year. If your plan fails, I'm sure you can find your way back into a corporate job and then climb the corporate ladder, You
can
but
always
I just
go
had
back.
This feeling of like, I just have to try this first. And I'm happy I did.
Okay, but walk me through the first few weeks of you landing in Bali. What was that like?
Yeah, it was tough. I didn't really know. I didn't know anyone. I had no friends there, of course. I moved literally by myself. And I just really had to be so wise with my money. So I couldn't really go out or out for dinners, things like that. I just cooked at home, bought food at the market, lived in a hostel, trying to figure it out. And I was working all day, all night, I was like, I'm not giving up. I'm going to continue pitching to brands and land brand deals. And actually, at that point, the influencer thing was working. I was getting paid to make content and to collaborate with brands. But it was very fluctuating. Like, they don't pay on time or like all of this stuff. It's like, or you do a lot of work and you actually don't get paid. Like, they want to gift you and things like this. So this industry was just super strange to me. And then I was like, okay, I need to stand out. And then I actually taught myself augmented reality development, so AR. And then I started to pitch and offer content creation and, of course, posting it on my channels, a travel blog. And then also on top of that, I would develop AR for them. And that's when I started to get a lot of deals because they were like, oh, she's different than all the other influencers. She also offers augmented reality. And that's when that actually, started to go pretty well after a few months. So, yeah.
Oh, amazing. Yeah. Okay, so then how did that lead you to the laptop? Working from your laptop thing?
Yeah. I think I did the influencer thing so combined with, well, of course, when I started in Bali, Bangkok the first time, then London. So I did influencing then for probably 3 years or so. The first half year abroad in Bali, I already realized how toxic it was. Like what it does to your mental health, the way that the industry works, all the dirt that you have to do. And for me, there was just this turning point where I was like, I don't even recognize myself anymore. Like, what am I posting and why am I doing this, And that's when I said, okay, the reason I started influencing was the lifestyle, right?
Yes.
I saw that the first time when I studied there.
Yes.
The lifestyle of working remote, having
Freedom.
Your own schedule, traveling where you want. So I aspired the lifestyle. But I chose the influencer industry because I thought, oh, it's so fun. You get everything for free, nice, But then being in it, you realize that the currency of that business is not money. The currency is attention.
Yeah.
So because if you have attention, so you have likes, followers, comments, then you get brand deals. So, but the first step you have to take is do everything to get attention. And that's later on, I researched a lot about the neuroscience, and social influence, which is now something of like one of my biggest interests. So when we focus on attention and we start to do everything to get that, we subconsciously actually reprogram ourselves. So at some point, I realized that my audience was actually my influencer. I was not the influencer. They were influencing me on what to create, because if I posted a picture of a travel landscape that looks beautiful as a travel blogger versus a picture of me in a nice cafe, the picture with me would get the most likes.
More engagement, yeah.
And the travel actual raw, travel photo with tips and tricks and whatever would not get attention. So subconsciously, you start to say, this was bad, this was good. So you're going to start to make more of the good things, or what your audience decides, right?
Yeah.
And you stop posting what you actually liked in the beginning. And doing this for months or years, you just completely realize that you're not even doing anymore what you wanted in the first place. You're completely now
so far away
conforming to what they actually like and what they want to see. And that's just a very scary place, because you start to do things for attention. So I also realized, okay, cute pictures, great. But if I look sexy, like nice dresses, I get even more attention. And because attention is the currency, you will start to do everything to get there, And one day I just realized, and I was like, this is not who I am. And this is not why I started this. And also all the dirty tricks, that come with getting likes, like all engagement posts, like all of this stuff. It is so horrible. And compares the game, like what it does to your mental health. It's, I think a business driven on purely attention, it's going to be the end of you sometime. You're going to sell your soul,
Agreed. And you're so right. This is such a trap. And whenever you're doing something, and the main tips anyone will give you is see what's working with your audience and double down on it and keep doing that.
You're like, but what about me?
What about me? And I remember I had this when I was doing YouTube properly, and I realized that I would do the content that I truly cared about doing, put in so much effort, do research for it, and then post it. That doesn't do as well that if I just record something on my phone, which is a vlog of my day, and it's done really badly, but that will do so much better. So then I also had that thought process of maybe I should just keep doing this and just keep pushing the vlogs. And then every time I had to vlog, it was a chore. I would be so annoyed. I'm grumpy the whole day because this is not what drives me. This is not what makes me happy. But if you keep doing that because you think that that's what's going to work, and it might work, right? But at what cost? And that's why I doubled down on what I liked. And true, it might be harder to get to where you want to be and a bit slower. But at the end of the day, it depends on what your goal and mission is in life. But my question for you really here is, you mentioned the impact on mental health, right? And we all know social media is terrible for mental health. We need to find a better way of mitigating that. And I know it's all about self-control, but when you think about the newer generation, the kids who are growing up on social media, the traps for them are so much bigger. And imagine, I'm so glad when I was in high school, social media was not really that much of a thing. But now imagine you already have the pressure of being a teen. And now you can see on social media, you can compare images, you see all of these people's lives, and you only see the highlight reel, right? You don't see the reality of most people's lives, and you automatically get into the comparison game. And we also have the advent of OnlyFans, where a lot of people, there's the debate as well, which we can get into about whether this is women empowerment or not. But how do you think we can kind of like work around this kind of like trap, especially for women influencers?
Totally, yeah. I think social media is not all bad.
Yeah.
You know, like we also, like in a way, AI, technology, social media, we're not going to escape it. But I think we have to make sure that we really educate ourselves on what it does to our brain and how it impacts especially the younger people. So women, but also men, you know, below 25 or now even they say below 30, I think, our frontal lobe is not fully developed yet. So we miss actually this part where we can put things into relevance. And that means that we will see risks less and we will jump on things quicker, right? Which is why a lot of young people do stupid stuff. You know? So, but it's actually based on, you know, we are not fully developed yet. We miss literally a part to be capable to do that. So if young women see these lifestyles of, you know, influencers or in general, even Dubai, you know, the Dubai reels are on another level.
Of course.
Right? But we see these things and it gets normalized, this luxury, this lifestyle, being able to travel and all of that. How much people are making, you know? And then I think it's very easy to think, oh, what I'm doing is not right because everyone is liking this. So I should find a way to also achieve that. And then it becomes this trap where, you are comparing yourself constantly to these internet celebrities. And it's true. I also did that. And that's why I'm doing what I do today, because I saw it's possible. So on one hand, yes, we should share these things or achievements and, you know, our life, because we're showing possibilities and it could spark someone to also design the life that they want. So that's a good thing. But on the other hand, we also need to educate them on the downsides because it's not always so black and white. So influencer life, like if you want to be an influencer, go for it. Like, you know, if you want to be on OnlyFans, be my guest. That's all good. That's all fine. I just do think that we need to educate people on the dangers and the effects that those things have on us, you know? And this is also about, you know, creating a content funnel. We can address the general problem. That's what I do too. The general problem of this world is that too many people work jobs that they hate.
Yes.
That's a general big problem. Okay, cool. Now we get into middle of funnel, which is helping people choose a solution, right?
Yeah.
So this means showing the pros and cons of all the ways that you can achieve a better lifestyle. And I think that is not happening enough. Too many people are just only showing the pros, like you said, the highlights, right? So then we go into become an influencer. I did this in 30 days. You know, you can make this much, blah, 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 blah. But not talking about all of the dirty stuff you have to do to get there. Not talking about what social media and literally likes do to your brain, you know? And the same, well, I can only speak from influencer perspective because I've done that. But OnlyFans is also a business where you thrive on attention because the more attention you get, the more people are going to pay for your content. So, but they don't tell you exactly how much the average OnlyFans girl makes. You know, like if the big influencers and the big OnlyFans models, they're saying, I made millions this month, da da da. A young girl, could be as young as 13 years old or younger, sees that content. Maybe their parents are struggling to put food on the table. And now they might think, wow, it's so easy because this girl says it's so easy. She's making millions. Let me just take one photo. And now you can't even stop yourself because you're subconsciously being reprogrammed that you did something, you get attention, you get likes. So now you want more attention and likes, so you're going to keep going further until you don't recognize yourself anymore. And the danger there is that, I think the average OnlyFans model doesn't make $1 million a month.
Yeah.
Right? I think it's way less. I think it's like $150 or $300 a month.
Oh, wow.
Know? And is that worth it to put yourself out there forever, damage your mental health in a way? And also, obviously, all of the other psychological effects that come from doing things like that, right? And influencer the same, you know, you keep pushing yourself further, posting more sexy content or just whatever your audience likes and losing yourself. And then that's the question, is that worth it? And there I think, you know, for me, I agree with that people should escape the matrix and the rat race. Yeah, that's the general problem.
Yes.
People hating their job. But I think there are other ways to do that. That maybe don't rely on attention, you know, and don't rely on so much exposure and don't rely on things that affect your mental health so deeply. Yeah.
No, I like that. And I think the problem with our current times, right, is that we all look for very quick gratification. And we all want validation, external validation. And that's why the influencer economy becomes really attractive because you get both, right? You're getting your quick gratification. You see people liking you. You feel validated. And it's like perceived fame as well. But I love what you were talking about in terms of the problem nowadays is that people are doing jobs that they hate. And I think I love that because this is something that I talk about a lot as well, because in 3 years, I quit my jobs 4 times, you know, and it was always because I was unhappy and I was trying something else. And then you realize how many people don't necessarily leave even when they're unhappy. And there are many reasons for it, many factors. But it is so prevalent in our generation, which is a bit sad when you think about it, because I think we're also the best time to actually quit your job. There's so many things you can do. Like you're an example of it as well, where you can make money, you can explore your passion, you can have more freedom of your time. But you're so right when you say that we all know what the problem is. Yeah, we all know what the solution would be to do something that you want to do. But how do we get there is the question. And yes, being an influencer is an example, but not everybody can be an influencer, right? And not everybody should be. Yeah. But tell us a little bit more about how you became someone who had basically freedom of your time now.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So for me, when I realized, you know, that I didn't want to do the influencer stuff, I looked back and I was like, Jet, you failed 10 other things, right? All these things I tried, succeeded at influencing. What did I gain from that? And I realized I gained a lot of digital skills because as influencer, I built my own travel blog and website. I learned augmented reality, right? Yeah. I learned all of these marketing skills because I was marketing myself. So I learned editing, design, right? Email marketing, build lead magnets. I was like, wow, I did gain these digital skills. And that's for me when I looked at, you know, what is a business model that I could do around something I love, but it doesn't rely on social media. It doesn't rely on like me needing to be famous or me needing to put myself out there so much. And especially just the pursuit of likes, right? I didn't want to have anything to do anymore with likes, followers, or checking when you post, like being so obsessive about it. And that's when I started to freelance. Okay. So offering these digital marketing services to other businesses. Because in this way, I was helping their accounts grow. And of course, you could be sad if a post doesn't perform, but it's a different type of sadness when it's a business account. Yeah. Or it's like your face and it's you. Of course. Right? It has such a different effect that you can see that as a job Whereas if it's you, it hits way closer home, right? That is just a big difference for me, you know? So, and of course, in those businesses, you also pursue those strategies of taking what performs well and doubling down on that. But that's because it's business, you know? Whereas influencing comes way too close because it's always about you and you know, yeah. So then I started to do freelancing for businesses and also around the passions that I loved. So I looked at, hey, what are my interests? What are the things I generally like? And now what niches are related to that? What business owners are in those niches? Because if I get to work with them, I understand them. I love what they do. So I would love writing about it and researching it. And for me, that was like, I guess like a eureka moment where I was like, wow, it's all coming together because you only need to learn skills. Then you offer services to businesses that already need these services, you know? So it's like a direct line. It's ethical. It makes sense. There's no third parties involved, no stock, no, you know, nothing else. So for me, I still believe that, you know, freelancing is just the most beginner-friendly model because I believe everyone can learn skills. It's just a matter of time, you know? Everyone is capable of it. Everyone has a passion or interest that can be linked to a niche. And then it's just about getting better and mastering these skills and expertises over time so you can start to charge more, right? And you can really grow that further. And then it's so scalable because once you have maybe, you know, 5 clients or something, you could start an agency as well. And then once you've mastered those skills and you're like, now for a few years, at least that's my opinion, you should not coach in anything that you haven't done for a few years because that's another topic. But once you've crushed it for a few years, now you could start also info products, so courses and coaching programs or ebooks, you know? So it's like, it's such a logical line, you know, but it's all about skills. All these 3 things like freelancing, agency owner, info products, it's all based on digital skills. So yeah, for me, that was the biggest realization.
Wow. And you just need a laptop to get started and you can learn online. And there are so many skills platforms now where you can learn, right? And some of them are paid, some of them are free. But it is so easy to train yourself into something. Yeah. But, you know, in the early days, you said that you were finding businesses that would require your services. But what was the experience of that in the early days of, like, how many rejections were you facing? How, was it like a numbers game?
Totally, yeah. It's definitely a numbers game. And I even say this to my students, you know, it's, if you let's say you do lead generation, right? So we try to acquire clients, we reach out to our ideal customer. If you do it for 2 days and you do a lot and you give up, you know, or you do it every day for the next 30 days, you know, you send 5 to 20, for example, outreach a day, that's when you're going to see results. It is really a numbers game. So first, when you start, you're going to make a big wave of outbound, what we call it. So reaching out to a lot of these business owners, you have to continuously follow up with them. At some point, they're going to come back to you because you planted the seed, right? So in the beginning, of course, it is more work. But then once you get your first clients, they will refer you to others. And now you start to build a reputation. Now people start to find you as well on your socials and things like that. So I think it's just the beginning that a lot of people give up too quick. And this is really about discipline and consistency. And not enough people are willing to be consistent in something. Yeah.
And when was your first break? When did you know that, okay, this is working?
So I would say for me, I landed my first client actually very quick after 1 week.
Oh, wow. Okay.
You know, but I have to say in that 1 week, I sent maybe 100 a day. You know, and this is what I mean with people are so lazy. If you really want something, you can get it. You know, it's just about doing the work and not giving up so quick. So for me, I landed a client actually very quick. From there, in the next weeks, people started getting back to me and I was full, you know, within 1 or 2 months and could already start my agency at that point, which was really quick, you know. And of course, the agencies first started at a smaller scale where I just had VAs supporting me. And then later on, we really scaled it further. But yeah, for me, it's like, if you can say, okay, Jet, I'm going to put in the work, I'm going to be consistent, then I don't see any way you can fail at this, at freelancing. Like, there's no way. Yeah.
Yeah, I think for anything, right? If you're consistent and you're working hard, even if you don't get what you initially wanted, it will lead you to somewhere else.
Totally.
It's never wasted.
Yeah.
And it's always, what is it like? There's this story about how the bamboo tree, you know, the bamboo plant, it takes, I think, like 2 years for the roots to grow under the soil. And then once it comes out of the soil, it shoots up to like meters, like, you know, like 20 meters or something in like a few days. So because that hard work was happening where you can't see it and you're putting in the effort and you're not seeing the results immediately, but it's all coming together eventually to give you what you want. Just like you, now you have a company of 22 people?
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay, how is that going? So tell us, what does the agency do?
So agency, now we help personal brands mainly. So coaches, consultants, keynote speakers, authors. So mainly, really personal brands. We help them with their social media and their marketing needs. Basically everything, digital marketing. So that's the agency. But the majority of the team members, now the 22 people, that is actually really in the info product side.
Okay.
So that is all our coaches, you know, the people in our teams that are doing our marketing for the courses and coaching programs. And that is now really the biggest one. And an agency has around 8 people right now. And then under that also more freelancers and people we outsource to.
Okay, so in how many years, when did you start when did you move to Bali? 4 years ago?
4 years ago.
So that's when you started this whole digital marketing business, right?
Yeah.
So over 4 years, you've moved from working alone to now kind of like heading a company of 22 people. Yeah. So how has that experience been, especially in terms of like finding the right people to hire, when it comes to firing, when it comes to just generally making sure everyone is working and happy? What's your experience been?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I think it has been one of the greatest lessons, you know, like in entrepreneurship, I really do. I feel like the best thing in your company and the hardest thing in your company is people. That's true. It's your biggest asset and it's your biggest liability, you know? So for me, in the beginning, I was hiring in the wrong way. When I was first still kind of starting out, I was hiring for skill and not for attitude. So I was looking for the best people. But the best people, they were like, who are you? You just started, you know, like, yeah, I'm the best closer in the world, whatever. But, you know, you're just a small company. So why would I want to work for you? You tie them into the vision and you can do all these things. They get on with you. You put so much time and effort training. But because they are good and they know it, if they get another shiny offer somewhere, they will jump, you know, because you are not their dream company yet. They are your dream employee, but you are not their dream company yet. So I changed that over time. And then we started hiring for attitude and not for skill. Because again, skills can be taught.
Exactly.
Right? You can learn skills. So then we started hiring for attitude, loyalty, and in general, you know, the cultural fit for a company and really investing into our team members. And that's when we saw really great success. Now, one of my team members, Linda, she's kind of now my right hand. She started as an appointment setter, became triager, then closer, and is now my sales manager and director of operations. And she's been with me now for, you know, over a year. And I feel like that's the greatest story where I hired for her attitude and I taught her everything, you know, and she was able to excel. But at this point where we are at, you know, the multiple 7-figure mark, now people start knowing about us and the talent comes. They're like, I want to work for you. Yeah. So now you could hire also for skill, for really good people, you know, but still we look at attitude more because someone who's very skillful, but very arrogant or, you know, doesn't want to put in the work, that's also going to waste your time and money. So yeah,
100%.
Skill and attitude.
But you know that there's the graph, right? I think the axes are competency and trustworthiness. Yeah. And they say you should always hire with higher trustworthiness, even if the competency is less, because you can always teach that. But you can't teach someone to be loyal or teach someone to actually care about the job that they're doing. Yeah. So that's why you're absolutely 100%. Right. But have you had to make any like difficult decisions? How do you approach difficult decisions? Yeah, how do you do it?
So many. So I have a coach as well, and it's a man, and you know I'm a woman. I struggled in the beginning with being stoic. So I needed to learn stoicism.
Stoicism, yes.
And also, I would say that I'm pretty decisive, but apparently I was not enough. So in some ways I can make very hard decisions, but I was too emotional. So someone would fuck up and I would, be like, okay, I would have these very difficult conversations, performance reviews, but I would give too many chances.
Oh, me too.
Way too many chances.
Why do we do this?
I don't know. And my coach said, Jet. So I was like, okay, yes, I'm firing a Hendrik today, He's like, Jet, didn't I tell you to do that 3 months ago? I was like,
yeah, we gave him a few chances.
So many chances. So now I'm less with that. I'm more cutthroat, I would say. I had to learn that, to be like, okay, this is an amazing human being, but this is a company. This is not a family. These people are unfortunately not my friends. They are not my family. They are my team, And for a company to thrive, I think, of course, we create this amazing company culture, but not a family, not a friend culture.
Yeah, it's
because
company.
It's not the same. I don't talk to them about my, personal life or anything like that. Of course, we socialize and we discuss some things, but it doesn't go as deep as a friend. I don't talk to them like my sister. So this is a differentiation I think we really have to make, because otherwise you're going to make way too many emotional decisions, Ooh. And you could say in the beginning, I was like, I want to have the best company culture ever. And we really had. It was so fun. But I also have a mission. I have an impact mission. I want to get to a specific point. And then it's like, do you want to do that super slow? Or do you need to make tough decisions to get to where you want to go, So at some point, of course, company culture is so important for us. And it's so fun. If you see my team channel, it's like jiffies and like they're making so many like inside jokes.
Good.
And it's so good, And I really know that they sometimes meet each other and all of that. So our company culture is great, but I cannot keep someone anymore because they're just very nice. That's the difference. They still have to perform and they still have to, of course, after warnings and stuff like that, improve. And if not, then, we have to move on. So, and then I still love them as a person. I still love them as a human being, but just not for my company.
I know. This is so interesting that you say this, because I've experienced this many times of whenever I've hired people and then they make mistakes or they don't do something the way I want them to do. And there is a limit to how much you can be understanding. But I always wait for too long before I'm like, okay, maybe we should move on, And it's as you said, because I think we're very easy to get along people, right? So you make friends with everybody. You spend so much time with people you're working with as well.
Yeah.
So then you kind of like blend the boundary and you think now you start feeling bad that you're about to put this person into a bad position. And I always struggle with that. Even with quitting my jobs and things, I always feel like I'm being terrible for leaving them in a position that I would not want to be left in. But at the same time, it's a job, it's a company, and you're there for a reason and you're trying to build something, especially in this case. But it's so interesting that women always struggle with this. And I think...
I don't know if that's true, but I feel like it is a little bit. We are more emotional human beings.
Yeah.
And like a lot of people say, men have these boxes so they can think like that. Whereas we tangle everything together. We're like, oh, but I had such a nice time at our last year's company event. Like, I like her,
She's
and
really nice.
No. But this is also why I got to this point, is because I also trusted team members. I poured my heart, soul, and everything into training them, which cost me so much time, money, for them to just say, I'm done today. No notice. They were just, fuck you kind of thing. And I was like, and that puts you as a business owner in a bad situation.
Yeah.
So you have to realize that they would also do it to you.
Oh, yeah.
And the same with the job, with the 9 to 5. They can fire you as well like that. So, I think that's the thing. We should not always want to be so nice. We should be more logical sometimes.
Yeah, and also you're not being nice. You're being soft.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Because you're not being nice to yourself. You're not being nice to the company. So what is the point here?
Totally.
And I think you're right. And also women tend to be a bit more empathetic as well.
Yes.
So then you start putting yourself in the shoes of that person. So you feel bad. So even me, I had a coach, and she was telling me, in that moment, switch off everything. She's like, switch off your brain. Don't think anything. Just do what you're there to do in that moment, and just say what you're there to say.
Totally.
But it's something we definitely need to learn and practice. And I love that. I love that you have a male coach, because I think that's good that he will tell you this is not right.
Well, now I'm starting to look as well for a female coach, because I would love the other perspective too. But yeah, I think one important thing to think about as well is like, with hiring people, training them and all of that, the first question I do always ask myself is, did I really explain it enough, or was I not clear enough? You know? But of course, after you go through all of that, then at some point you have to make a decision.
Yeah, you have to make decisions. Yeah. But that's all part of being a CEO, isn't it?
Yes. Well, now I have to say I am happy that now I have, top line managers. So
you don't need to do it anymore.
No, I don't. But I support them and I coach them on how to handle these situations, And
but now, because you've done it, right? You've done it yourself.
Of course. And I could still do it. I would say maybe I even got good at it, but it's more like I know how to handle these more complicated or confronting situations in a really good way. But at this point, of course, now I also want to protect my mental health.
Exactly.
And my brain, because if you have to do something like that, I don't think it matters if you've done it for 20 years, firing.
Makes no difference.
If it's at 4 p.m., you think about it the whole day.
From the night before, you're going to start thinking about it.
So if I want to achieve some really big things, then I know I had to take that off, of course. Now even we have an HR person who deals with all the HR things, But of course, when you just start, it's all on your plate.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, no, I think, and it is all rooted also in the place of not wanting to be disliked.
Yes.
Right? And that's why
totally.
confrontation and having difficult conversation is because that there's no way that, for example, if you got along with someone really well and you fired them, but you're like, I have nothing personal against you, you're not going to be friends with that person after.
No.
That relationship will not be there. Yes. Right? And it's that little fear of being disliked by someone, which I think, again, is a skill that a lot of us need to work on. But it's coming. And now I want to move on a little bit from the professional life and move into a bit more your personal experience. So you've also been living alone in a different country in 4 years. So same. So, I mean, I was at uni in the UK for over 8 years. So I was there living alone, and then been in Dubai for almost 3 years now. So I want to hear your take on what's your experience been like. And because, that's one question we get a lot from the audience as well, which is how do you live alone abroad, especially when you're not a student, right? It's a very different lifestyle. How do you make friends? How do you find your circle, especially? But what's been your experience?
Yeah, I think for me, living abroad, and that the first time I lived abroad was in a student environment, right? Because it was like 3 months in Bali, 3 months in Bangkok. It was called Grand Tour. And that's something that the Dutch university does in different locations over the world. And that was perfect for me because it was like a safe environment to still be abroad. So I had, I would say, the benefit and privilege of doing it kind of safely, the first time. So that then when I moved to London by myself, it was like the step was less big, But in general, moving abroad, I think it's so beautiful how you step into another culture. And then whenever you come back to your own looks so different.
Yes.
So you learn so much about yourself. So I can honestly recommend it to everyone, even if it's for 3 months, to live somewhere abroad, in a different country, in a different culture, because I feel like it develops you so much. And it teaches you to be alone. It teaches you how to be alone, how to do things alone. And I feel like not enough people step into that. So many people depend on, their friends or people that they know. And if every second that you are alone, you cannot just sit by yourself and your thoughts and you have to scroll or listen to something, it means you're avoiding something, So for me, I had a lot of confrontational and realizations actually when living abroad and being alone and learning to be alone, that now, oh my God, they help me so much in like, you know, the way I develop myself and the way that I see the world. So I feel like it's a gift to be able to live abroad and experience that. Now, of course, being alone is great and you should do things alone. But then meeting people can be challenging. Yeah, especially if you are an expat, so you are living somewhere and it's a place where tourists pass in and out.
Yes.
Because then it's harder to find someone who's also going to be like a best friend and is going to stay with you for a longer time, or they might be gone in 2 weeks. So what I had is like, if I know someone is a tourist, like I don't even really try because I'm
you're
like,
how much effort do you want to put in?
Like, I'm so busy, you know. So for me, it was harder to find those type of people. I have to say, when I moved abroad first, I was still first in student vibe. So you go out, you party, you have fun. Then I was in the freelancing vibe where you're working from a cafe, kind of not working, you know, like it's kind of like casual. So then it was easy to meet friends because we had similar interests. And there were a lot of those people around me that like party, having a good time, like working in a cafe, you know. But it got hard when I started to really build a business and go into monk mode, you know? Because at that point, I looked around me at my friends and I was like, they are really distracting me and they're living a lifestyle now that doesn't align with me. So actually the last years I had a lot of lonely seasons where, and I feel like every entrepreneur goes through this, you know, where it's like your past friends, there's so much misalignment. You love them, but you are going somewhere and they're not, which is totally fine.
Yeah, just different
paths.
Doesn't
work.
Yeah.
However, that next step of people, you're also not really there yet. So you're in this in-between phase where you don't really work out anymore with your previous friends. But that next level, you are not ready for that either. So you're in a really lonely season, you know, which again also shapes you. And, you know, I'm sure it has a lot of benefits, but it can be tough, you know, to look at that and be like, wow, I look around me and I have no friends actually right now. No, really, you know?
I know.
And actually I'm starting now to network with this group of people that I aspire to be friends with, you know, some more 7-8 figure business owners that I want to be at a table where I will give my heart and soul input, feedback, and, you know, share everything I know. But I also would love to learn from someone, vice versa too. And I feel like now I'm starting to get into those circles more and more, which is super exciting. But at this point, I and nobody will be offended either, I don't have a best friend. I don't. And I have friends, some friends, you know, but I don't have like that best friend, that ride or die person. So I would love to find that as well, you know, but I think it's more now that I start to network more in these different circles, I'm sure that's going to come. But yeah, it can definitely get lonely the more you grow, because if you grow at this speed and people you really like, not really, you know, then there's so much misalignment through this whole journey. That's
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
First of all, thank you for sharing this very vulnerable fact. But I think you're right. And you're definitely not the only one who goes through this, the whole having a lonely phase. And I do talk about this a lot online as well. And I had a hater who wrote a little comment on one of the, and she was like, oh, I don't know why you're playing the victim every time you're talking about how people are not aligned with you anymore, but maybe you're not aligned with them anymore. I was like, I agree. I think there's nothing wrong when I say people are not aligned anymore. I'm not saying I'm better than them in any way. I'm just saying we have different priorities in life now, and it doesn't align anymore. But I've been the same as you. I feel like especially it's very common with people who move countries as well.
Yes.
Because the people you grew up with, the people you went to school with, they are now in a different country to you, and you have such different life experiences. You grew entirely different. And now when you go, especially for me, I went to university in a different country and I work in a different country. So it's like the circles you made are so far away from you.
Yeah.
And yes, you can try to maintain a relationship, but it's not always the same. And the older you grow, especially when you start to have like a little bit of like perceived success, then it's very different and it's so hard to navigate this path. And I think adult friendship is a topic that's not discussed enough.
Totally. I see some people, like, of course, so many people are like, I have been friends with this person for 12 years.
Yes.
Or like, you get pregnant, your neighbor, your friends for
Your
like,
best friend from school, yeah.
You're like, and I'm like, wow, I would love that. But then when I really thought about that, we chose to have a different life.
To not have that.
That's why we will not have that. And that's a sacrifice. That's the price we pay for it as well.
Yeah.
Because if we wanted that, we should have stayed in our hometown, gone to school, gone to university, gone to get a corporate job. Yeah. Sure, I would have still been friends with her, like 100%, you know?
Exactly.
But we chose to be different, and that's the price that it comes with, you know? Yeah. But I think it's not a bad thing. I think it's just part of entrepreneurship, especially. And like you said, moving abroad too. Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with those people. It's just that we are so different, and we changed at such a rapid rate in a different direction. Actually, they also changed and improved, but just in a completely different direction. That, to me, I have been asked by people like, I see you're in town again, do you want to hang out? Like, and it's super sweet, and I'm very nice to them, but I don't like to be fake as well. I can't, you know. I don't want to pretend. It's just like, if I don't feel it, and if it doesn't make sense to me, I don't want to fake it and be like, oh my God, so nice to see you, like la 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 la. Yeah. It's like, no, I was actually, in some deep shit and never heard from you. Exactly. So I don't want to meet up now that I'm back in town.
What's the point of this like superficial relationship, right?
Totally.
And I think that's the thing. Like, I feel like we spend too much time pretending with relationships, especially friendships as an adult. I don't see the point of it. And there's nothing worse than when you're spending time with either a group of people or one person, and while you're there, you're thinking, why did I come here?
Yeah, exactly. Like, why did I agree to this, Like, totally.
Why? Like, I would rather be home alone right now. And I think because I put myself in that situation so many times, now I know that if it's not a hell yes, it's a no.
Yeah.
Totally. There's no maybe I should go. No. If it's not immediately a hell yes reaction, I'm like, no, maybe not. Yeah. And I think that's absolutely fine. And as you said, there's no point in being fake. And also I feel like when you start realizing, I love how vulnerable you were when you said you don't have a best friend right now, because I used to have this checklist in my head being like, at least I have these people, but I have lost some really close friends to me as well recently. And I'm like, it's actually fine. It's okay. And I don't resent them in any way. We had great times together. They were really good friends to me. But now we're just not part of each other's life. And I think that's okay. Yeah. But it's growth, right? Getting to that point of thinking it's okay. Yeah. And you will meet new people. And I like how you said that it's just a question of time, and you also improving yourself in order to become better friends to new people. But it's absolutely fine. But while we're talking about relationship, there's also the dating world, right? So the one thing I get told a lot, and that's why I want to ask you this question. I get told a lot that because I did a PhD and because, I have like online presence and stuff, that this is intimidating to men, and I should not bring all of this to my dating life because no man wants that. So do you ever get told that?
Yes, I've been told that many times. And it's funny because I completely 360'd my mindset, maybe in 1 year even. So 1 year ago, I would have replied to that and saying, okay, I'm not intimidating, you're just intimidated. Oof. Right? That's what I would have said. But now it's different. It depends on the kind of relationship you want, So for me, I worked really hard to achieve my career goals. And the first question is, why did I do that? It is because when I was younger, we are not living in Bridgerton anymore, where you are just a nice, pretty girl. You're developing your arts and your piano music, and you're waiting for the best man to pick you up and take care of you and your family. We're not in that age anymore. Especially in Netherlands, it's 50-50.
Oh, tell me about it.
So I grew up seeing that around me, like boyfriends 50-50. So how was I supposed to trust that someone was going to show up, save the day for me, and take care of me and my family? So why did I become entrepreneur? Because I felt the need I had to take care of my family, you know? And doing that, achieving all these business goals, super cool, right? And I sit there in my house, in my beautiful villa, and I look and I'm like, I want the only thing that money can't buy, and that's happiness, and that's love, and that's a partner, and that's kids, you know? And it's funny because years ago, I would have said, oh no, I'm going to give everything to myself, right? So, but then I completely just changed my mindset. And I was like, for me, I realized now that fulfillment for me comes from having a family, being a mom, being a wife. And it doesn't mean that I regret building my business because, like I said, there was a need for me to do so, to give myself a certain life and security in my family. But realizing now that that is not what my end purpose is and what I truly want, you know? So I'm now very open about the fact that I want a husband, you know?
Good, as you should be.
I'm so excited for it. You know, for me, like that's really this next step. And a lot of people are going to say now, oh yeah, so she boss babe too hard. And now she realizes she wants a man.
Now she wants to go back in the kitchen.
Yeah, but actually I do, you know? Like,
and what's wrong with that?
Yeah, I don't think there is anything wrong with that. I think it's more, it has two sides. So again, actually, I don't even know if I can say this.
Just say it. Just now that you've said that, you have to say it.
Okay, so there's different types of businesses online. Let's leave it at that, okay? What I have done is not with my boobs on the internet or anything super, you know, anything unethical, let's say, or however you want to call it. Yeah. I build a marketing business, okay? What has that done to me as a person? I've developed so many characteristics, so much personal growth that I know now I can even take that and I can be a really good wife and a really good mom. It's only going to help me, you know? Whereas I understand that, you know, feminine, masculine energies in business, you know, and things like that can intimidate people, right? It can threaten them. That's also why when I'm dating now, I don't lead anymore with, I'm an author of this, I'm a this, that, this, you know? Years ago I did. My Tinder would look like a LinkedIn profile, literally, you know? Yeah. But now I lead it with feminine qualities. So I say, you know, I love cooking, I love gardening, I love horse riding, right?
Yeah, because all of these are still parts of you.
All part of me. Yeah. And because I want to attract a man who wants me to step into my feminine, that is also the qualities that I focus on more now versus being so masculine and always business driven, right? It's not that I won't tell them I'm a business owner because it's part of me and it's a good quality, you know? But it's not how I want to lead dates or how I want to lead the dating life because I don't need to impress anyone. You know, I want to lead with my femininity, with my feminine qualities. And there's a big benefit, actually, I think, in dating a female entrepreneur. Like huge, you know?
Oh, yeah.
It's a superpower because, you know, a lot of wealthy men, they get approached by women just looking for wealth, just for the lifestyle, right? Now, there's some research, I think Sadia Khan also spoke about this on the podcast. And basically she says that, you know, or this research says that a lot of these women that will get the lifestyle they want from the wealthy men will still cheat because they are emotionally not appreciated enough because the man is always working, right. You know, blah, blah, blah. So they get the Birkin bags, they get everything, but they will still cheat or not be a good wife necessarily. So, but if you date a female entrepreneur, I maybe don't want to work anymore right now because I want to be a mom and a kid, but I've been there. So I understand you. So when you are grinding at night, you have a big problem. Instead of complaining to you, I'll sit next to you. I'll emotionally support you. I'll see how I can help. I'll bring you some tea, you know, because I get you. I understand
the grind.
You know, so I will actually be more of a supporter in that way. However, of course, I also still want a provider because if I want to stop working because I want to be a mom, then I have to be with someone who makes the same or more. Because otherwise I will not stop working, right? Yeah. Because otherwise I would have to downgrade the lifestyle that I gave myself. However, I'm not looking just for your money, but I am looking for someone who can maintain the lifestyle I created for myself right now, while supporting you to do even better.
Of
right?
course, yeah.
So yeah, realizing as well that building this business for 3 years, I've done the 5 a.m. wake up for like a year, and it brought me amazing results in business, but it declined my health, made me super depressed. And I just realized how men and women are so different. We have cycles,
Yep.
We cannot be on every morning at 5 a.m. and force ourselves to live this super masculine business lifestyle. I sometimes just want to be. I don't want to do all the time, right?
Oh, yeah.
So I had this really big realization. And for me now, I have big business goals still, but doing it in a different way. And I'm very open about it that I am looking for a husband, and I want to be a mom. And it's so crazy because I'm 25 now. But I'm at this point where I'm like, yeah, actually, I wouldn't mind if it would happen soon. Whereas when I was in corporate, I was saying, I want to climb the corporate ladder, maybe have kids when I'm late 30s. How funny is that? But then we achieve our career goals.
Yeah.
And we look around and we're like, this is actually not what gives me fulfillment. I want to be a mom.
Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with that, right? And I think that the whole women can have it all. I don't know how much I believe it. Because yes, you can do it all, but not at the same time.
Yeah.
And I think that's why some people choose to prioritize their family life first and then later on go into their career, but other people do it the other way around. But there's no right or wrong here.
Totally.
Right? It's whatever suits you.
Yeah.
But thank you so much, Yett. We've talked about everything from personal to professional, dating, friendship, how to make money. And it was really lovely having you here. And as a thank you, flower for you.
Oh, thank you so much. I love that.
And
so
you have a card
pretty.
signed by the previous guest, and you
so
get to sign the
nice.
card for the next guest.
Oh, I love that.
Thank you so much for being here. It was lovely chatting to you. And I guess parting message, tell us a little bit more about the book.
Oh, yeah, totally. So I'm part of the Women Gone Wild. It's a book series, and I'm in the intuition book. So it's 20 plus women, and we all write about intuition. And I think it's such an amazing book, especially for women to read. It's called The Feminine Guide of Fearless Living. That's like the subtitle. So I think all women should read it, and all men as well, to get inspired by all these amazing women. And yeah, it's going to be out now actually in June in Amazon, but also Barnes & Nobles, all the bookstores. And yeah.
Amazing. I'll put the link in the description box below. Do check it out.
Cool.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yay.